Welcome to the tutorial for how to do a cat's eye pom-pom. These pom-poms are actually really simple. You'll need to decide what colors you want to make for the eye. I use 3 different colors of yarn, a black for the center pupil, a green for the iris, and a kind of a model color yarn that I happen to have, but you can choose any colors. I have these cardboard pom-pom makers that I made myself, and other than that, you'll just need some scissors. Now, if you haven't used any pom-pom makers before, I have a little link that's in the corner of the screen, and you can click on it. It will take you to the video for how to make these. For starting out with the pom-poms, you want to take length of the thread that you'll be using for the surrounding area of the eyeball, and you want to sandwich this between your 2 pieces of the cardboard. I take the ends and I curl them up and sort of pinch them between so that they don't accidentally get cut or get wrapped up in the thread. Your first step is going to be to take your black yarn, and you're going to want to do a single row of black. Just sort of hold it in place and keep wrapping it. Now, once you've gone about 1/3 of the way over, you're going to start wrapping closer to the center. You'll want the center part to be thicker than the sides. That's how you get that kind of diamond shape to it. Just keep wrapping. I'm guessing it's probably 50 to 100 times that I wrapped around this. Depending on the size of the pom-pom you make, will adjust exactly how many times you're going to need to wrap it. Once you have an amount that you think is enough, just snip off the end, and you're just going to do a simple tie wrap just to hold the rest of your thread in place. Next, we're going to wrap the colored part of the eye. Again, I used a kind of a blue-green, but you can use whatever kind of color you want. You're going to use the same technique that you did for the black. You're really just wrapping. Start the green probably about 2 or 3 widths on either side of the black, and you're going to be wrapping now to overlap the black as well. So you'll know that you'll be essentially finished when all of the black is going to be covered. So just keep it 1 or 2 threads on either side of the black, and then keep wrapping. You want it to be nice and thick, again, to be wider on the sides than what it is on the top and bottom. So you can see here, this is how wide mine is. As before, cut off the end and just do one simple tie loop to hold the yarn in place, and then trim off the extra. Last part is the rest of the surrounding eyeball. If you wanted to make it more realistic, you could use white. I really liked this black that I had with the bits of the white in it. I have a couple black cats, so I thought it just kind of worked. This is going to be what you're going to use to have on either side of the green, and as well will be the yarn that you're going to see on the back side as well. You're going to be doing a lot of wrapping. You want the thread to go from one end all the way across to the other. And it's going to take a lot of wrapping. You'll be wrapping, 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 wrapping. Keep on going. And still wrapping. You want it to be really nice and thick. A good indication of when you've got enough is that center circle, when it gets essentially full, when you really have no more space to do any more wrapping. Because if you don't wrap it enough, you're going to have a pom-pom that's going to be a little looser. If that's the effect that you want, then fine. But the more yarn you have, the thicker and denser, and essentially a better shape your pom-pom eyeball is going to have. Now, because we have these 2 pieces sandwiched in here, this is what's going to separate apart so that you can get the scissors in there to start snipping. However, before you do that, spread your two little cardboard pieces apart, and you want to pull out those strings that you put in as the first step, because now that you're going to start snipping, those little pieces of yarn can pull out through the cardboard pom-pom maker. Do one tight single knot. You don't want to double knot it yet, because when the cardboard pieces come out, you'll be able to tie it even tighter. So just a single loop will keep everything in place. You'll need a really sharp pair of scissors. I'm using these little crafting, sometimes I use manicure scissors to get in there, because it's going to be really dense. You're probably going to end up chewing through a bit of your cardboard. That's fine. I usually end up snipping mine a little bit on every one that I do, but I'm able to reuse it over and over again. Once you cut the threads apart, you should be able to see the shapes and see that it's working the way you want it. Pull the cardboard pieces out, you won't need those anymore. And now is when you can see a really fluffy version of what your eyeball is going to look like. See how much more you can pull those strings tight? That's what you want to do, as tight as you can pull them. Now to the side, you'll see that I also have some more active links to some other tutorials that are in my Giddy Up workshop channel, including the top one, which is how to make the cardboard pom-pom makers, how to make mini pom-poms using just a fork, a pattern for an eyeball hand, a human eyeball, and also my Kermit the Frog eyeball pom-poms. So you can see the difference between how fluffy it is before you do the trimming. The other eyeball is after trimming. Use the long strands that you use to secure the yarn. I usually just wrap them around my finger so that I can hold it in place and be sure that I'm not going to snip them off. And now you can trim the yarn. This is probably the most fun that you're going to have in crafting, and it's certainly the most fun part about the pom-pom. You're just going to keep snipping all over until you have a nice rounded shape. Refine it a little bit, and the more you trim off, the more you're going to see the design that you want just sort of naturally fall into place. Once you've got all the fuzzies off, shape it a little bit with your fingers, and you have made a cat's eye pom-pom. You can do any kind of version of these just by switching up the colors, putting some less threads in either of the part. Please feel free to subscribe, comment, leave any likes down below, and thanks for watching.